Hello and welcome along to another video. Today is Wednesday the 7th of October 2020, and in today's video I'm going to look ahead and preview day number 2, the PDC BoyleSports World Grand Prix, which is going to start at 6 PM UK time live on Sky Sports. Now day number 2 sees the second 8 matches of the last 32 stage take place over the best of 3 sets, double in, double out again. Before we discuss day number 2, let's look back at day number 1. And before night number 1 started, there was bad news for Adrian and Stephen Bunting, who both tested positive for COVID, so they had to withdraw from the tournament. They've found 2 replacements in Simon Whitlock and Jeffery Zwaan, and if they pass negative COVID tests, they will be able to play later on this evening. So we had 7 matches in night 1, and night 1 winners were Danny Noppert, Dirk van Duijvenbode, Devon Petersen, Mervyn, Gary Anderson, Michael van Gerwen, Dimitri van den Bergh. They all won on night 1. So who will join them? We'll have 9 matches and a bumper session tonight. The first match of the evening sees Brendan Dolan take on Kim Huybrechts. Now Brendan Dolan's a former finalist in this event in 2011. He then reached the semi-final in 2012. Other than that, he's been the last 16 twice, and he's been knocked out in the first round the last 32 6 times. The last time that Brendan played in the World Grand Prix was back in 2016. So far this year, his best result was in Players' Championship number 7 in Barnsley in March. We reached the final. And he'll take on Kim Huybrechts. Now, Kim Huybrechts reached the quarterfinals of this tournament in 2016 and was knocked out once in the last 16, and 5 times he's been knocked out in the last 32 stage. He's now ranked outside the top 32 in the world at 40 in the world rankings. His best performance so far this year was at Players' Championship 8 in Barnsley, again in March, where he reached the semi-final stage. Kim's recently changed darts, and it'll be interesting to see how he plays with the new darts on the big stage at the World Grand Prix, even though it's behind closed doors. The head-to-head between these two is an interesting one. It's 7-3 to Kim Huybrechts. 9 of those meetings was between 2011 and 2016, when both were at their peaks. They played once in 2020, and that was at Players' Championship in March, and Kim Huybrechts won by 6 legs to 2. I think that Brendan Dolan have too much for Kim Huybrechts. I think that Kim Huybrechts' change of equipment won't do him the favour in this game, and I think Brendan Dolan will win this game by 2-0. Also, Brendan Dolan is very, very good at hitting double 20. I think that'll be the advantage for Brendan Dolan. As we've seen in Kim Huybrechts, he did struggle in doubles on the home tour too, but I think that Brendan Dolan's consistency in doubles will get him through this game by 2-0. The next match sees Jonny Clayton take on Ian Wright. Now, Jonny Clayton has played twice in this event, and he's lost the last 32 on both occasions, losing to Gary Anderson and Stephen Bunting by 2-0. But it's been a good 2020 so far for Jonny Clayton. He's reached the semi-finals of the UK Open, and recently was European Tour 2 finalist. And he takes on Ian Wright. Now, Ian Wright has reached the quarters of this event twice, in 2015 and last year in 2019. He's been knocked out in the last 16 phase twice and 4 times in the first round. He's won Players' Championship event number 8. He's been the finalist in Players' Championship number 4. And he's been the semi-finalist in Players' Championship 12 and 16. He's been a little bit ring rusty since he came back, but he's reached 2 semi-finals on the Players' Championship circuit. But you expect Ian Wright to do more. These two have played 9 times previously, and Jonny leads the head-to-head by 6-3. And the last match between these two was at Players' Championship in the Summer Series, and Ian Wright won this game by 6 legs to 2. So what do I think is going to happen in this game? I think that Jonny Clayton is just that little bit above Ian Wright just now. I think Ian's showing a little bit rustiness, and Jonny on TV recently has been the better player out of the two. So I'm going for Jonny Clayton to win this game by 2-1. The next game sees Dave Chisnall take on Glen Durrant. This is a repeat of the semi-finals last year as a first round tie this year. Dave Chisnall reached the final last year as he won that semi-final game. He was a semi-finalist in 2016, the quarterfinals in 2018. 3 times he's been knocked out in the last 16 and twice in the first round. So far this year, it hasn't been the greatest of year for Dave Chisnall. He's been the finalist in Players' Championship number 10, where he led by 7 legs to 4, and he lost by 8 legs to 7 against Ryan Joyce. but he has been playing a lot of online darts to keep himself competitive and active recently. He takes on Glen Durrant. Now, Glen Durrant on debut reached the semi-finals when he beat Krzysztof Ratajski by 2-1. Then he beat Rob Cross by 3-2. Then Jermaine Wattimena by 3-2. And he lost 4-1 to Dave Chisnall. He's reached the semi-final of the match play this year and he's reached 5 Players' Championship quarter-finals as well. Now, these two have played 3 times previously and Dave leads the head-to-head by 2-1. Glen won the first meeting in the Grand Slam of Darts by 10 legs to 8, but since then Dave Chisnall has won the last 2 meetings. He won a Players' Championship final event between these two, which was last year in February by 8 legs to 7, and he won this event last year by 4-1 in the semi-finals. So what do I think is going to happen in this game? I think that Glen Durrant will get revenge over Dave Chisnall in this game. I think that Glen Durrant's consistency is a lot better than Dave Chisnall. Dave Chisnall's been up and down recently. He's either been very, very good or he hasn't been great. As we've seen in the World Series finals, he had the lowest average of the session. He then followed it up with his next performance in the European Tour with the highest average in the session. So you just don't know what you're going to get from Dave Chisnall. But I think Glen Durrant will be better doubling in and doubling out than Dave Chisnall in this game. I think he'll win it by a very close margin of 2-1. The next game sees Daryl Gurney take on Joe Cullen. The Daryl Gurney has won this event back in 2017. He reached the semi-finals in 2018 and the quarter-finals in 2016, and he's lost the first round in 3 occasions. I think the break with lockdown, what we've seen, has done Daryl Gurney the best of things for the long term of his longevity. I think they will go on longer now with this break because Daryl Gurney's one of those players who plays most on the PDC circuit, and I think giving him that break will be great for him in the long term. Joe Cullen in this event has lost once in the last 16 and 3 times in the last 32, so he's only ever won 1 match in the World Grand Prix. So far this year he's reached the final in Players' Championship number 15, and that's his best achievement so far this year. He's produced some signs of magic, as we've seen in the home tour 1, where he averaged 106 for a couple of games, but we expect to see that on a more consistent basis from Joe Cullen from now on. Because the health kick, I think that will affect his game positively in the long term, just like it does with Daryl Gurney having a rest. Now these two have played 11 times and Joe Cullen leads the head-to-head by 8-3. The last time they played, Joe Cullen won by 6 legs to 5 in the Autumn Series Players' Championships events. But the biggest time they ever played, Daryl Gurney won that by 3-1 at the World Grand Prix back in 2017, the year he went on and took the title. So what do I think is going to happen in this game? I think that Daryl Gurney's consistency on double 60 to get him away will be too much for Joe Cullen in this game. I think that doubling in percentage will give Daryl Gurney more chance to score and then more chance at the end of the leg. But I think it's a tight game, and I think that Daryl Gurney will win this game by 2-1. The next game sees Peter Wright take on Ryan Joyce. Now, Peter Wright has not won this event previously. He's only reached the final back in 2018, the quarterfinals in 2017. Twice he's been knocked out in the last 16, and 4 times he's suffered a first round exit. So far, the world champion this year has won the World Championships, the Masters, Players' Championship 5, 13 and 14. So far this year's been a very, very good year for the world champion. It's been a shame that he's not been able to be announced in front of massive crowds as the world champion around the world, because I think that's something Peter Wright deserves. And he takes on Ryan Joyce, who's making his debut this year. The Ryan Joyce won Players' Championship number 10. He got beaten in the last 32 of the world match play by 10 legs to 4 against Simon Whitlock. In the recent autumn series, he only picked up 2 wins, so the form isn't great from Ryan Joyce. Now these two have played twice before, and Peter Wright has won on both occasions. First time was in September 2019 at a Players' Championship event, and Peter won by 6 legs to 2. They've played this year in February in a Players' Championship event, and it was 6-3 to Peter Wright. So what do I think is going to happen in this game? I think that Peter Wright's playing another level to Ryan Joyce, and I don't think Ryan Joyce has much of a chance in this game. So I'm going for Peter Wright to win this game by 2-0. The next game sees Gerwyn Price take on Jermaine Wattimena. Now, Gerwyn Price's best result at the World Grand Prix as the quarterfinals in 2018 1 time he's lost out in the last 16 and 3 times he's been beat in the first round. It's been a good year for Gerwyn Price so far this year. He's won Players' Championship number 6, 17 and 18, European Tour event number 1 and the World Series finals. He was on a 17 match unbeaten run before Devon Petersen came back from 5-1 down to beat him by 6 legs to 5 in European Tour event number 2. And he takes on Jermaine Wattimena. Jermaine Wattimena reached the quarterfinals last year and the year before was knocked out in the last 16. It's an interesting battle between Jermaine Wattimena and Danny Noppert to see who's going to be that second player in the Holland World Cup team. The head-to-head between these two, it's 5-2 to Gerwyn Price, and Gerwyn Price won the last 3 meetings between these two, including a 7-0 win in the Premier League match earlier this year in the summer. Now, Jermaine was a contender on that night, but it was a 7-0 win and he had a long layoff before that. So what do I think is going to happen in this game? I think that Gerwyn Price will be too strong for Jermaine Wattimena. We did see some signs from Jermaine Wattimena on the home tour that he was starting to produce a little bit more of his best stuff, but I think Gerwyn Price will be too strong for him, and I think he'll win this game by 2-0. The next game sees Nathan Aspinall take on Gabriel Clemens. Now, Nathan Aspinall reached the quarterfinals last year. On that run, he beat Vincent van der Voort by 2-0, Danny Noppert by 3-2, and eventually lost to Dave Chisnall by 3-1. It's been a decent year for Nathan Aspinall, who has won the Players' Championship event number 2 and Players' Championship event number 7. Now, 2 years ago, he didn't even participate in this event, so he will go up the world rankings because of that. He's not defended any money this week. And he takes on Gabriel Clemens, who's making his debut. Now, Gabriel Clemens will go from 35 in the world to 33 in the world. But if Gabriel Clemens reaches the quarterfinals of the World Grand Prix, he will overtake Max Hopp as Germany's number 1. So it's a great interest for Gabriel to win to at least the quarterfinals of this event. Now, these two have played 5 times previously, and Gabriel leads a head-to-head by 3-2. They've all been on floor events 1 time in 2018, 2 times in 2020, and 2 times in 2019. Now, the first time and the most closest event I've ever had was in Players' Championship event in 2020 when Gabriel Clemens won by 6 legs to 5. That was a real tight battle between the pair. What do I think is going to happen this time? Gabriel Clemens is slightly off the boil in recent times, and I think Nathan Aspinall will take advantage of that because he's played very, very good darts in the Premier League, having reached the playoffs, and I'm going for Nathan Aspinall to win this game by 2-0. The penultimate game of the evening that sees the first substitute take part in Simon Whitlock against Chris Dobey. Now, Simon Whitlock reached the final of this event back in 2017 when he lost to Daryl Gurney. He's reached the quarterfinals twice in 2013 and 2016. 3 times he's been knocked out in the last 16 and 4 times he's been knocked out in the last 32. So far this year, it's been an inconsistent year from Simon Whitlock. However, he did reach the quarterfinals of the World Match Play when he beat Michael van Gerwen along the way. And he takes on Chris Dobey. Now, Chris Dobey on his debut reached the semi-finals, and on his way beat Ricky Evans by 2-0. He beat Gary Anderson by 3-1. That was a massive win for Chris Dobey's confidence. He beat Ian White by 3-2, and he lost in the semi-finals to Michael van Gerwen by 4-0. He's already jumped up in the rankings, having just played in this event. In the first round, he'll go from 19 to 18, and if it's a good week, he can go into the top 16. Now, these two have played 4 times previously, and twice they played in 2016, and it was 1-1, and twice they've played in 2020, and again it's been 1-1. Chris Dobey won the meeting in the UK Open by 10 legs to 5, and Simon Whitlock won in Players' Championship number 12 by 6 legs to 5. I think it's a very, very tight game. I think the game in Players' Championship 12 will be the sort of game this will be. I think it's a very tight affair, but I think that Chris Dobey, having played lots of double in, double out darts at local level in the North East, will get the job done, and having good memories from last year by 2-1 over Simon Whitlock. The last game of the evening sees our second substitute in Jeffery the Zwaan play, and he takes on Jamie Hughes. Now, Jamie Hughes got knocked out in the first round last year. He was unlucky, he lost by 2-1 against Michael van Gerwen. Michael van Gerwen took out a tremendous 1-3-5 checkout on the bill and that helped him beat Jamie Hughes, because Jamie Hughes was on top of this game. Again, he's a player that's got to jump up the rankings from 33 to 31, so he's got to be in the top 32 of the world because he's defended no money, and he can increase his prize money. So far this year, he reached the quarterfinals of the UK Open, and that's a real highlight for Jamie Hughes. And he takes on Jeffery Zwaan now. Jeffery Zwaan has played in this event twice, and he's lost in the last 16 twice, where he's lost to Gary Anderson and Michael van Gerwen by 3-0. There's small signs of Jeffery getting back to his best. He had shoulder surgery early on this year, and that has hampered this year, but we've seen some signs we thought he's getting back to his best. Now, I couldn't find any head-to-head meetings between the pair. I think this will be a very, very tight game. I think that's a real 50-50 match, but I think Jeffery Zwaan won't win this game. I think the call-up is too late for him. He didn't perform well in Home Tour 2 earlier on this week, and I think that Jamie Hughes will get the job done by 2-1. I think Jamie Hughes will be practicing on his doubles to get away, and I think that little bit of a practice will be too much for Jeffery Zwaan, so I'm going for 2-1 to Jamie Hughes. So that's me came to the end of this video. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave a thumbs up on the video and put a comment in the comment section below what you think the score lines will be on day number 2 with the 9 matches. And until tomorrow, I preview day number 3 of the PDC BoyleSports World Grand Prix. I will see you then. Goodbye.